Week of the state tournament. It's here. When you're watching this, I'm sure you just got home from the pit like I did, and I'm glad you mixed in another edition of Local Focus with all your live basketball this week during the state tournament. I'm your host, Sebastian Noel. Thanks for tuning us in. First, I do want to update you on some previous guests. Amaya Brown, successful surgery, ended her year at Florida State. We hope a speedy recovery there. Last week's guest, Cameron Valencia, obviously we hope him a speedy recovery as well. David Cormier, from all that I've seen, you know, he did the first year at Air Force at the prep academy, the prep school. Now he's ready to go with the big boys. Hopefully we're going to see him when Air Force plays the Lobos. You know, I might be sitting in the Air Force seats that day, you know, just like I was sitting in the San Diego State seats when my man Jordan Bird came to town. So we'll be rooting for David when he comes to town. I want to check the schedule. I believe Air Force is coming to UNM this year. But glad you mixed in the show with all your live basketball. Crazy week always, where we spend sunrise to sunset and beyond at the pit. But my guest this week is the phenomenal guard at Albuquerque High, and that's Jude Tapia. Jude, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Obviously, your season didn't end like you wanted it. You're watching the state tournament with us. Talk about how tough that is.
It's real tough. I expected to at least make state this season with the group of guys we had, because everyone was real bought in. We listened to everything Coach said, but it just came down to overtime in Capital, or at home against Capital, and it didn't work out.
And obviously, you know, you don't make the field of 16, but that shouldn't overshadow what became a really just fantastic run the second half of the season. You start off the season with just, there's no other ways around it, but just a horrific start, right? A horrific record. But then you guys, what happened? What clicked? Because in district play, that second half of the season, you guys looked like a well-oiled machine. The pieces fit. What clicked?
I feel like the first part of the season, it was a brand new team this year that we had. So that second after Metro, everyone started. We had a team bonding during the winter break. We didn't play in a tournament. Everyone started clicking together, and we just knew that we were close in every game that we lost. So we knew that we could get over that hump and start to win.
You talk about team bonding. Is that something you can share with us? What does the team do to get closer?
We just went to someone's house and dinner and sleep over.
So the little things like that, do they matter? Do they make a difference? Obviously, you're saying they do, right?
I feel like it builds our chemistry. We didn't really, a lot of people didn't really talk to each other, so that brought everyone together.
And is it as simple as when you start the season with a bunch of new guys, is it as simple as you don't know each other? Hi, my name's Jude, and you get to a point where you're bonding and now you're all in? Is it that simple?
It is. It kind of allows everyone to have a feel for what everyone as a group is trying to accomplish. So we got, once we understood what we could do, it clicked in the second part.
And how close of a team is this versus some other teams you've played on? Because I know Coach Garcia mentioned that he badly wanted to succeed with this group, because he said this is one of the nicest groups and funnest groups he's ever coached.
Yeah, we're really hardworking. What was the question?
How close of a group is this compared to other teams you've played on?
It's one of the closest. Devin Serrano was saying one time, the group they had last year, it was a really good group, Albuquerque High. It was talented. He said that the only thing missing was team chemistry. So I feel like this year is the only thing that was missing was the wins.
Right. Maybe some size, right?
Yeah, some size.
A little bit of rebounding. But it's funny you talk about chemistry because we talked almost at length with Cam Valencia last week about team chemistry and how important it is. And we've kind of talked about some of the teams that we thought had it. You know, I always bring up Atrisco as an example,
Yeah.
where the pieces just seem to fit and the guys all enjoy each other, and you can't describe it, but it's chemistry. What are some of the teams you've played or you've seen that you think just have it, like similar to you guys?
For sure, Trisco, because they've all been playing since they were little together, so they know what it's like playing with each other. And then another one was Cleveland. Amir and Jalen, they've been playing together for a while. And the other, it's the white dude's name.
Aiden Moreno.
Terry.
Oh, Josh Terry, yeah. Josh
He's
Terry,
been
yeah.
playing with them for a while. So them, El Dorado as well, just all the teams that grew up around that area, went to the same high school, they all have really good chemistry.
Now, do you think it takes playing together and growing up in the same areas, or can it be something that you just find, like you talked about with your guys, right? It doesn't. I think you gave 3 examples there of teams that all played together for a long time, et cetera, check all the boxes. But is chemistry something that can be found with a group of transfers or with a group of new kids? Do you believe it can be found in other ways?
It can, because our group did it. We gained great chemistry. We all had great chemistry. We all went to pretty much the same middle school, but we never really played together. So once we started playing basketball together, it kind of was off at first, and then we started to pick it up, practicing a lot harder, listening to coach, and all that helped.
What do you think? What do you attribute to your slow start to the season? Why do you think you guys got off to a start as far as wins and losses go that maybe you didn't want?
I feel like it was a lot of it was in our heads a lot. Once we got that first loss to Cleveland, and then the second one
You
to
guys played a
Del
tough
Norte.
schedule at the beginning of the year too, right?
Yeah, Volcano, Atrisco. So we that loss to Del Norte, we were going in thinking we were going to win for sure, and then we lost to
You
them.
didn't know how powerful the Knight, our director, that's a Knight over there. So you didn't know what Coach Mack was cooking, right?
Yeah.
But you can't doubt the Knights, man.
They're tough this year. So yeah.
Now, going to the middle of the season, let's talk Metro Tournament. Obviously, what we want to talk about there is that phenomenal game you had against El Dorado, against Cameron Valencia, who was our guest last week. Take us through that game.
It started since we didn't get to play in that in a winter tournament like every other team. I was kind of like, I didn't know why. So the whole team came out hungry to beat El Dorado because we knew we had a chance. And then I started getting hot. My teammates started finding me the ball, and I just ended up with 54.
Oh, just 54, huh?
Yeah.
Is that all?
Yeah.
So how big's the basket looking at that point? I mean, at what point in the game were you like, okay, I can't miss?
It wasn't just shooting. Everything was just clicking. I was getting the ball. My handles were feeling nice. It was like a flow to the game that it was a really good feeling. So yeah, I was just every time I had a chance to shoot, I shot it.
But it's rare where a performance like that is being matched on the other side,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So how much more special did that make it, where you're competing with someone on the other end that's almost matching you bucket for bucket? Talk about that.
It was really fun. It was back and forth. Someone was at the foul line. Someone got fouled, and me and him started talking about it. He said, "I've never had anyone score 50 on me." I said, "Well, I've never had anyone score 48 on me," or whatever he had. So we were kind of joking. It was fun.
Did that make it, I don't want to say easier, but did that make it more special, or maybe it did make it easier? I mean, if that's just a blowout and you're playing a terrible team and you're going off for your 50, is it harder to stay focused in that way, or is it, I think the fact that someone else is going at you on the other end, did that make it more special, or the flow of the game, was it easier? Talk about that.
I think it's easier if it's a tougher team with another player doing the same thing you're doing, because it's just more motivation. You want to score even more, try to match what they're doing.
Now, when it was over, did you know that was an Albuquerque high record and a city record?
I didn't know until the next day.
So who told you, Coach?
The athletic director saw me in the hall. He said, "Did you really score 54 last night?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You know that's an Albuquerque high record." I said, "Oh."
And then when did you find out that was a city record as well?
I found out on Twitter. I forgot who posted it.
Right. Okay. So that's pretty special. I mean, when you look back on your high school career, that's something you're going to be telling the kids, the grandkids about.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I might tell them I had a little more.
It'll grow to 70
Yeah,
or 80,
yeah.
100. It'll be a wilt game by the time you have grandkids. All right, we're gonna take our first break here. We'll kind of delve into a little more of their season, when they started to roll in district play. We'll talk about that some more, and what's ahead as young Jude Tapia is just a junior. We'll be right back.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every Proview Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProviewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
I'm back with Bulldog Jude Tapia. Let's go forward a little bit to the part of the season that you guys try to find your stride a little bit, and that's district play. First of all, at the end of non-district, what does Coach Garcia do or say to reset your squad? Kind of, hey, this is a new season.
Yeah.
Let's refocus. Talk about that. What did he tell you guys?
He was just real positive with us. He was confident, so it made us confident. He would always say it's 0-0 now, going into district. He said that going into the district tournament as well.
And obviously, that's a district there that's prior to the J.B. White injury. I would say that Santa Fe was probably the favorite. But once he goes down, that's a district that you guys have to believe is up for grabs, right?
Yes, I believe the whole district thought that.
Okay, and that's a great point by you. The whole district probably did think that because it was a all district tie after the first couple of games, right?
Yeah.
So talk about how close all those district games were.
It was really it was a lot of ups and downs. We started district, we lost to Santa Fe, and we were kind of down on ourselves. Coach Garcia just got us positive. We started to win our next couple of games, and everyone else was winning as well, losing as well. So we just tried to focus on our games and just keep winning.
Toughest district opponent you felt, or toughest matchup you felt you had this year in district?
I feel like it was to score against Sandia. They would send 2 at me, so they did really well on defense.
What makes Sandia a tough team to play? It seems like they're pretty long,
Really long.
pretty athletic, right?
Yeah, they their whole starting 5 was, there was one person on their starting 5 that was shorter than our tallest player. So we went in still confident, but we knew we had to fight for the boards.
You talked about obviously the end of the season a little bit where you lose to Capital, but even that team, that's a Capital team that I did the first game at your place,
Yeah.
where they came in and it looked like they couldn't beat anybody.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the story of the whole season, right? Of the entire district was you never knew who was going to win or lose. Sandia does really well against the top of the district. They got swept by the bottom of the district in Rio Grande. Let's talk about the ebbs and flows. I mean, were you guys checking scores every night?
Yeah, after every game, we would go into the coach's office and check who won and then see where we were at and then worry about the next game, trying to win the next game.
District tournament starts. Again, Coach Garcia says it's start over at 0-0. What's your mindset heading into the tournament?
It was just we knew we could beat anyone and anyone could beat us, so we had to go in believing that we've never beat them, they've never beat us, just play our game.
And take us to the first game.
First game, it was against Sandia. We were kind of we were tied with them 1-1. They beat us once in district. We beat them once in district. So that game, they came out ahead
Now that's a Sandia team that had just beaten you, right?
Yeah.
On the game of the week on
Yeah,
my
the
50. And
2
they,
nights before.
And they did a real nice job on you defensively. So talk about the adjustments you made.
We knew we had to move the ball, spread the floor out because they couldn't guard us around the perimeter. And we got to the basket really well. Other players stepped up, Austin, Devin, and we did okay on the boards, but got lucky.
3-point shooting contest, you and Devin Serrano, 30 balls on the rack. Who wins?
Me, for sure.
By how many?
15.
Wow.
At least half.
Did you see that? Did you hear that, Devin?
He's going to be watching too.
He's going to be watching, and he's going to be
He's
pissed.
always, we've had a 3-point shootout before.
Okay, and
He
how did that
beat-
go?
He beat me.
Whoa, wow. He beat you, and
it
you're
was-
talking that kind of trash?
It was 3 shots.
Oh, okay, that's not a
It was
contest.
3-2 or something.
That's
so.
no good.
Yeah.
So you think all the racks stationed just like the All-Star game, you got him all the way?
I'm more consistent.
Okay, all right.
I'll say that.
Challenge issue, Devin. Now, if you guys want to actually do that, maybe we'll haul a camera out to practice. Let's see. Let's put a little money where Jude's mouth is, maybe. I don't know. We can make that happen, right, Josh? Yeah, all right, we'll see. Talk about your next game in the district tournament.
Against Capital, we went in knowing that they beat us, we beat them, that we had to just play our game, and it was a lot of they were up, we were up. It changed like that, and then it went into overtime. Their best player, TJ, he hurt his ankle or something. We didn't wish that upon him or anything, but it was kind of like I feel like we got too excited about that and overlooked them, and they just came out they were hungrier than us in overtime, and they came out with the win.
And obviously, you guys had to go into that tournament thinking, hey, we got to win this thing to be in the tournament.
Yeah.
So post-game, you guys just took the L. What does Coach Garcia say to the group?
He said he wasn't disappointed in us at all. He was really proud of us with the team we had, where we were at the end of the season. He was really proud of our seniors, Devin, Dom, Ryan, for leading our group, and he was just excited about next year.
And as a group, as the athletes, when does that mindset start to set in? Like, okay, this is it. Unis get turned in.
Yeah.
Season over, right? What's going through your mind as the team's predominant player, obviously, or the whole team? What's going through you guys' mind?
Well, Coach Serrano brought in the bucket to put all our jerseys in, and a lot of the seniors, that's when they started to break down, and I just tried to comfort them. I knew I still had next year, another chance, but I felt what they were feeling, so I tried to just comfort them and let the night play out.
Now, what brought you home to Albuquerque High? Because you didn't start your basketball career at Albuquerque High.
Yeah.
You started at Sandia. Why did you start at Sandia?
I went to Sandia because my dad, my cousin Miranda, my brother, they were all at Sandia. My brother was at Sandia his senior year when I was there my freshman year, so obviously I wanted to play with him, and yeah.
And what went into that decision to transfer to Albuquerque High?
It started about like halfway through the school year. I used to enjoy waking up, going to school. I didn't really enjoy going to school. I was friends with the basketball team and then one other kid. So yeah, I knew I wanted to be at Albuquerque High for that reason mostly.
So it wasn't a basketball decision at all.
No.
And I think that's what that's always kind of a misconception, right? Is when athletes transfer, they always think it's an on-court decision, but so often it's really not, right?
Yeah. I chose that I wanted to be. I wanted my school life because that's the most important part. I wanted to be happy during school, and then I'd be happy playing basketball anywhere.
So what made Albuquerque High the place?
Just because I went to Jefferson Middle School, everyone there fed into Albuquerque High, and Jefferson, I really liked middle school. I was happy going to school, so I just felt Albuquerque High was the best fit.
How big was the smile on Coach Garcia's face when he heard the news?
The first day we walked in, met him. He was saying, "Time to go to work." Daniel Schartz, if you remember him.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I saw him in the hallway. He said, "I smell a blue trophy," but I didn't get to play that my sophomore season. So.
And obviously, the excitement had to be ramped up a little bit when coach is watching you go for 35 a night in JV. I know if we would get to games early that we were covering, we would see the end of JV games.
Yeah.
And so talk about that. I mean, if there's people watching that maybe have to sit out of sport a year, what was your mindset that year where you knew you were going to play varsity? So there you are on JV. What was your mindset? What kind of work were you putting in?
My mindset during the season was just to dominate, so I can feel not as left out. I'm still getting talked about, so that was my goal. And then after the season is when I started putting in most of my work.
And what were the guys like on the team? How did that help you become a better player?
It helped me be not so in my own head, selfishness. There's a couple games my JV season where I got a little selfish and got subbed out, and I'd be on the bench with a bad attitude. So this year I tried to fix that, my attitude part of the game.
And you feel that you've done that successfully?
I feel like I have. I still during the beginning of the season I got into it with a couple of refs, but towards the end I completely shut that out.
And so obviously you go to work starting as soon as the season's over, right?
Yeah.
What is your off season going to look like?
This
Yes.
coming off season, I'm hoping to put in more work than I did last year and come back even better than what people expect.
Well, that's a pretty scary thought. Jude could come back even better than this year. We're going to move forward, talk about his goals for next year, his team goals, and then maybe some college goals. And we're going to take a little turn and talk NBA because Jude's a fellow Laker fan, so we'll get into some NBA talk with Jude as well. We'll be right back.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
All right, we're back with Jude Tapia. How about that new intro music, man, that my director Josh put? I saw you I saw you a little, you got the rhythm there. All right, let's talk about what you want to accomplish next year individually and as a team.
Individually, I just want to bring more people into the crowds next year. During the beginning of the season, we started playing, and there was barely anyone in the stands. And towards the end of the season, more people started showing up. There was a big student section, so I just want that next year, but even more. And then I want to be able to obviously win a state championship, but if not, make it to the pit.
I think Albuquerque High is one of those unique places, and I talked with Marlon about this when I had him on, where when the team's winning, anyone with that green in their closet's going to come out, right?
Yeah.
And it's pretty phenomenal. And he told the story of one day at practice where this 85-year-old man just walked in and asked for a schedule because he was a Bulldog class of whatever. And I feel like that's something that can only happen at Albuquerque High. When you guys win, no other school has the potential to draw from their alumni base like that. Talk about how special that is when you slowly start to see the place fill up.
That's very special. A lot of people started actually coming into practice, coming into the locker rooms after games and congratulating us. They were saying they were Bulldogs once, and yeah.
The potential, we have when you coming back for your senior year, JB coming back from an injury. Let's say everything is aligned. I think that has the potential to turn into the best rivalry in the state from a attendance perspective.
Yeah.
If, let's say, Santa Fe and Albuquerque High are good, top 10 teams at the same time, could you imagine those crowds at Bulldog City, those crowds at Toby Roybal Gymnasium in Santa Fe, and what if that crowd at the Pit if you guys were to face?
It'd be amazing. I love playing playing in games where the whole crowd, everyone in the stands is involved, and especially if it's a big crowd with you look up and there's standing room only.
I mean, I've witnessed a little bit of that this year at Santa. I've been to a couple of Santa Fe games, some big games. I know when they played Cleveland early in the year, that was a full house. But that fan base is so similar to the Bulldogs fan base. The school's ancient, right? It's been there forever. It's got all those alums. I was talking about that with a buddy the other night. Like if those two teams could play at the Pit or play meaningful games when they're both in the top 10, I think that'll go. Because you hear everyone talk about old school crowds, right?
Yeah.
It was always better back then.
Yeah.
The crowd was always fuller. The games meant more. Blah blah blah. All that nonsense, right? But I mean, I think those crowds would just be phenomenal. Talk about how good those crowds could be, but not only that, Manzano's a nice little potential rivalry there.
Yeah.
I mean, your district. Talk about that.
I think Sandia is another good potential rivalry because I came from Sandia. The last game we were at, they had their own little student section at our house, and we had a big student section. So that could be a good rivalry for next year. And then
I heard some Trader stuff was
yeah.
being thrown out.
Yeah, there's
Talk about that.
I was shooting free throws and they started chanting, "You're a traitor." So I tweeted later that night, St. Jude was also called a traitor.
There you go.
So
Well, yeah, you got to change your Twitter picture, man. It's still you in a Sandia uniform.
that's
right?
only basketball. Oh, actually, I have more now, but
Right, but obviously that means you're coming into your own as a basketball player when the visiting fans or whether they're screaming traitor or whatever they're screaming, right? Like they used to scream at Cullen, Daddy's boy, things like that.
Yeah.
If you're the focal point of the opponent's fans, obviously that means you're coming into your own as a basketball player, right?
yeah.
So what's that do to your mindset? What does that do to your drive when you're down on the floor and the fans are against you?
It just gives me more confidence. I just want to shut them up. At Manzano, they were chanting overrated, and I hit back-to-back threes. The second half, I didn't do too well, and their chants worked. But
So you know who got a lot of that always was Kobe Bryant, right?
yeah,
So that's what we call a transition in television. We're going to transition to some Laker talk. So you're a big Lakers fan. So what do you think of the state of the franchise right now?
right now they're not doing too good. They might make the playoffs, might not for the first time in I don't know how long. Did they last year actually?
But you were a pre-LeBron Laker
Yeah,
fan,
yeah.
which is something that I would consider myself in that camp, right?
Yeah.
So explain that a little bit.
My dad, all my family grew up liking the Lakers since Magic. And then Kobe was my favorite player growing up, so I just always liked the Lakers.
So you think this was a good move for the franchise to basically throw the car keys right at LeBron and let him run the show?
I mean, some people may say yes, some people may say no. I don't really know.
I mean, you can't take away from the player, right?
Yeah.
LeBron, the player, phenomenal,
Yeah.
right? Even LeBron off the court, you know, the things he does for the community of Akron, it's fantastic. But there's the little things, like this week when, in my opinion, where he's just throwing teammates under the bus, right?
Yeah, not playing D.
He doesn't play a lick of defense until the playoffs start.
Yeah.
That's well documented. But he's throwing other guys under the bus, right? And then I'm sure Luke Walton will get run out of town because that always happens. So the circus that comes with LeBron, I mean, do you like that as a Laker fan?
I don't because it just ruins the franchise. Once he leaves, it's like no one's going to pay attention to the Lakers. So
Yeah, once he leaves, you're going to turn into the Cleveland Cavaliers
Yeah.
again, right? I mean,
Yeah, awful.
And when you have a young nucleus that they seem to be building around, right? With Lonzo, with Ingram, and obviously Randall's already gotten traded, but you seem to have a young group that can maybe be the future. I would argue that LeBron doesn't make other players around him better. So what does that do to that young nucleus?
I feel like it takes pressure off their shoulders because they could just hand it over to LeBron, but then they're not getting any better individually as running a team.
So the Anthony Davis thing, when you're pretty much offering to trade your entire roster for one guy, I mean, how does a young player recover from that, knowing that, hey, I was all but traded?
Yeah. Well, once they're gone, it'll just be LeBron, AD. I mean, I wouldn't mind a championship for the Lakers, but after that, then I don't know what's going to be next.
Is it more special when they can win a championship through a draft?
For sure, because like when KD, I mean, Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, that individual that before KD came, the Warriors team, that was all throughout draft. It wasn't meant to be a super team, and then KD came along and they won a championship, and it was like nothing. Everyone knew they were gonna win.
Quickly, we're running out of time. Final question: first team to win a championship, the Lakers or the Bulldogs?
Bulldogs.
All right, man. We'll be rooting for both. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Join us again next week. Good night, everybody.